Here we are in the Forecast tab of the Projects page. You can get here via the project list and clicking on a project. Basically, what this is showing you is the progress of the project over time. So currently we're viewing the revenue versus expenses report, so we can see the revenue here in yellow and the planned expenses here in black. So that comes from the fee information from your project details page, as well as your staff resourcing and project expenses. So if we go into the forecasts, we can see our revenues spread out over the duration of the phase, our staff expenses doing the same, as well as our project expense down below. You can click on any one of these cells and edit the value, so we can do 4,000 here. It's going to show us that we're only billing 93% of our agreed fee now. So we'll go ahead and change that back to 6,000. We can navigate through the project using the arrow keys here, so we'll eventually get towards the end of the project and we'll see it level off where there's no more cumulative change in the projects. This section up the top here is showing the profit to date. So this is handy if you go over budget on one phase, you can sort of try and course correct with the other phases. So we can sort of see that here we've got 20% profit in April, it drops in May, but we're sort of working our way back up to that 20% profit margin. Scrolling down, we've got our staff expenses. Again, you can click on any cell here and edit the values. If we break down further into the staff member themselves, we can click on Ryan here. So we can see for May that Ryan is costing the project $2,544. $2,544. This is calculated based off the staff member's cost rate. We've got the cost budget use of 41%, and that equates to 28 hours. You can also see that that is using up 41% of the hours budget, and Ryan is 15% utilized on this project. So we can change any one of these values. So we can say actually we want Ryan to spend 20% of his time on this project. You can see the budget use go up, the hours go up, the costs go up. And this has gone red here because we've now gone over our expense budget for this staff member. Scrolling down, we've got our expenses. You can drill down into the expenses so we can see engineering here. If you have an expense which is spread out over multiple months, you can just add in values like so, and that will create another expense in the project details page, which can automatically be brought in come invoicing time. You can add a new expense by clicking this plus button here, so we can say new expense. Add the expense, we'll give it $100. We can mark whether it's billable up the top here. That will be taken into account with the project's profit margins. Same with staff. If you want to add a new staff to the project, you can just click this plus button, add in, well, we've got all the staff in this example, but that's how you would do that. So that's basically it for the revenue versus expenses graph. So we can go view our expense budget here. So what we've got up the top is our total expense budget, and in black we've got our expense budget use. So we can scroll across and see our expense budget use over time. We can also see the total expense budget use at the end of the project here in the totals column. So again, we have all our staff with our expense budgets. If you click on a cell, you've got the same values as before. And we have our expenses as well, which we can sort of scroll across here and see. We can go into the hours budget, and we have a similar thing, but instead we just have staff member hours, so we can break that down and see the hours each staff member is spending on the project. Again, when you click on the cell, you'll see the same values to the right here as in the other graphs. Oh, one thing I haven't explained to you is these shaded in areas. So Once a month is complete, it goes into one of these shaded areas and it stops using projected values and starts using actual values. So if we go into our timesheets here, go in, let's go back a month because this project starts in April. So let's enter some time against March, add some time against Dancing House, concept design in March for 8 hours. Once that's saved, we can go into the project list, Dancing House, forecasts, and we can see here in March we're losing money because we've entered time there and incurred an expense against the project, but we haven't earned any revenue for that. We can also do a similar thing with invoices, so we can go to the invoice list, create a new invoice for Dancing House, or we can just modify this one. We set the issue date to March, and we can do 10% completion for concept design. So we'll save that. Go into the project list again, look at the forecasts, and we can see we now have some revenue here in March. This has now gone red because we've billed more than what has been expected. So we can go through and modify the forecast accordingly in order to hit our expected agreed fee. So we'll just change that 6,000 to 3,000 and we're back on track. So that's it for the project forecast. The other tabs we're going to explain in other videos. Thanks.